everybody. Welcome to the new shop and to the 1987 Mustang GT, nicknamed the Stalker Vert. So it's been a long time. A lot of people ask a lot of questions about this car, and it's got a lot of history. So I bought it about 15 years ago off who is now a really close friend of mine, almost like a brother. And I've bought and sold this car back 2 or 3 times. So I've my friend Cotter Factory taking video. Mr. Notorious is over here, and both of them can jump in just in case I forget about a few things. So we just finished lowering this car down some more. I'll get into the suspension a little bit later, but going into the history, I wasn't even looking for a convertible. I actually wanted another coupe, and I was on the corral.net, forums big back in the day, and there was this guy selling this car. Had black interior, clean car from Florida. We went back and forth, nickel and diming, and eventually we agreed on a price. It was the first time I actually ever flew to Florida, spent some time there. Me and a friend picked the car up. The guy was nice enough to actually let us crash on his sofa, and drove to Daytona Beach the next day and stayed in touch with him ever since. So I ended up later moving to Florida, working for his company. Then I actually found him a job once I moved to Dubai, so he and his family moved over there, and we've been in touch ever since. So this car has got a lot of miles from Florida to Canada. It went back to Florida, back to Canada again. Sold the car to a good friend of mine. He had it for a while. Then the car actually did Mustangs across America, where me and the owner that I bought this car from bought it back from my friend and drove it across LA to North Carolina. From there, we sold the car. Guy in Dallas bought it. He had it for a year, then wanted to sell it. I bought it back, had it since. You can remember all that because I barely can. Good for you. So this car has been painted 3 times. It retains all of its factory body panels, everything except for the hood, obviously because it's cowl, it's aftermarket, and the rear bumper because that's a custom piece as well. This GT front nose cone is original. It actually has the Stalker lower that's been grafted into this bumper. So essentially what was done is I cut the GT bumper all the way along at the bottom here, and then cut the Stalker bumper right underneath where the molding was, stuck the 2 together, and this is the outcome. All the VIN numbers are actually still in the car, other than those 2 body panels that I've mentioned, but every other body panel has been modified in some way, shape, or form. Passenger fender, antennas deleted, doors, handles deleted, side skirts, the MU from the Mustang, and the GT are gone. Passenger rear quarter, gas doors deleted. Everybody always asks, how do you get gas in the car? Well, the license plate is on a flip down with a filler neck right here. Here's the rear bumper. Some people love it, some hate it. My cameraman hates it. And that is actually a GT free air rear bumper. I forget who sold them back in the day, but this is typically straight across as a GT bumper would be, cutouts for the exhaust, and then I cut the whole center section out and then put this mesh in there. Driver's side rear quarter, nothing has been touched on it. Driver's side front fender, nothing's been touched, with the exception of heavy rolling and a little bit of stretching to be able to get those 285s underneath the back. So that pretty much covers the body and paint. The convertible top is actually out of a 93, so this whole top frame and assembly has been swapped over. The pre-1991 cars, so everything up to 90. The tops sit about here when they go down. 92, 93, so 91, 92, 93, they go down about 6 inches lower. So that's been swapped out. It actually has the convertible top headliner, which most don't, which brings you on into the interior with the annoying door chimes. So the interior of this car, everything is out of a 91 to 93, including the steering wheel. So it's been converted over to have the airbag wheel and column. The rear plastics have also been converted over, where the seat belt that come over the shoulder have been relocated accordingly as well, because that area is not the same on the pre-90 cars. So the only thing that's annoying, obviously, is that the seat belt holder is not here on the seat. So that's annoying at times, but that allows for the halo headrest to be in there. So some other modifications included on the car: LED conversion on the lights. The headlights have factory bulbs in there. Smoked headlights on a Fox body. Fox body lighting sucks to begin with. Smoked headlights make it even worse. Do not recommend driving the car at night. The car also has a killer glass coolant pipe, which is, I guess, love it or hate it. Some guys say it's ricey. I think it's pretty cool, especially you can see your coolant going through there. At night, you can actually also see the red glowing through the cowl of the hood, which is neat. And in terms of other electronic things, a lot of people obviously wonder, how do you get inside the door? The car is wired on remote poppers, so that it allows you to get in. If your battery dies,
you're fucked.
Yeah, you're fucked. But being a convertible, you can always slide something in, get that handle open, and away you go. Other than that, suspension-wise, it's a completely custom setup in this car. The rear actually has custom coil perches that are mounted on the lower control arms. There's lots of pictures of this on my website. Happy to add more. That allows you to adjust how high the spring is sitting. The rear spring in this car is a Ford Motorsport C spring that's been cut almost in half. I think there's maybe only about 4 coils left, if that. So there's not much there, but you have to do it in order to get this low if you want to. Bump stops on the axle tubes are gone. Bump stop for the rear differential is gone. Fender wells are completely rolled as much as I could get them. And this tire is a 285/30/18. These wheels, a lot of people ask me about them. Borbet Type A's, can you buy these now? No, you cannot. I think 16 inch is the largest size that you can buy off of Borbet's website. These were, in fact, Mercedes fitment, so that is a 5x112 wheel that has been modified to fit on the 5-bolt Mustang 5x114.3. Again, all of that information is on my website on how I made that work and fit. The front suspension, fresh Raceland coilovers installed. Before, there were Ford Motorsport C springs that were cut down as well. And these Racelands currently are on the lowest possible setting that you can go. So if anybody is wondering how low can you get a Raceland on a Fox body Mustang, this is it. And again, the front fenders are fully rolled. They're pulled out a little bit. Can't really tell visually, but it is in fact done, because I had rubs last night and I pulled them out some more, and the rubs are essentially gone. So car audio, everything is kind of period correct with the audio system, as well as the wheels and everything else on this car. So it is really old Sony equipment that I've had for years now. The subwoofer box is using the spare tire well for its airspace. So these are two 12-inch Sony XES subwoofers that are extremely rare, and then I have two Sony Mobile ES amps. These amps back in the day are better than anything that you would get to this day, in my opinion, and a lot of car audio guys out there. Things are smaller, but things are not as efficient as these amplifiers, and while they've been running for 20 years now without a problem. So that just goes to show some of the old stuff is not only cool to have now, but it is reliable and it lasts. Mr. Rogers.
Take 9.
The rear plastics have been converted over so that the you have the shoulder belts and the I'm gonna have to edit that out. So the rear plastics have been converted and the seat belt assembly. Fuck, what am I trying to say?
Shoulder restraint.
All right.
You got any sweet dance moves?
No. Oswell and family coming.
Aye.
Guess that's it, right?
Man, I think that was pretty good.